got a plan, but we need doo-doo.
Yes. When can we leave the estate?
The Witcher 3. Such a good game. At least that is what I think now. My relationship with the game did not start off all that great. However, after committing a lot of time to the game, finishing up the main quests, and doing quite a few side quests, I gotta say, the game definitely deserves all of the accolades that it's received over the past year, as it is quite a good game. But I want to talk about some of my gripes with the game, and kind of talk about what finally the game did to win me over and get me back in the saddle and back on the pro Witcher 3 side of things. Initially, I couldn't wait to jump in and get going. I had just completed The Witcher 2, so yeah, I'm late to the game in the whole Witcher series, but I just finished Witcher 2, and I loved that game. I still think Witcher 2 is the stronger game, and I may be in the minority there, but hey, that's what videos are for, to express opinions, and that's mine. However, I jumped into Witcher 3, and it was great at first. It had this great open world to explore, the graphics looked phenomenal, no real complaints. And then I started getting into the quests, and I started playing the game recently after launch, and since then they fixed a lot of the gripes with like the inventory system, the menu system, crafting, and all that type of good stuff. In the beginning it was really hard and confusing to do, at least I thought it was, and that kind of turned me off a little bit, so I was like, okay, well let me just go run through, play some side quests, level my guy up, and just kind of tear into it. But a lot of the side quests started turning into a bunch of fetch quests, and then some of those quests branched off into these huge giant stories that I got lost in, and before I knew it, I completely forgot what the main quest was. A lot of people praised the game for that, and yeah, I can see that, but for me, with the way I like to play games, I started getting lost, and I didn't quite understand what I was doing anymore, and I just put the game down for a little bit because I just didn't know what to do next. And then we get into the controls, and I could talk a long time about the controls of this game. I think they tried to just make everything very realistic. So, he has weight to him and momentum that he carries whenever he tries to run and stop and such, but it also made certain parts of the game very, very annoying. In fact, you know what? Just watch this, and this basically explains everything.
I'll be quiet, but don't happen. You can't trust them, you know. Once I saw one of them. Ouch!
Why is it that difficult? Why is it so hard just to line him up with something and for the prompt to come up and it just work? Why? It shouldn't be that hard. And then once I get it open, his first reaction shouldn't be, well, I better fall down the hole and die. So that happened multiple times throughout the game, just trying to get him lined up with the thing I wanted to use or look at or open. It's just, the entire game was just me fighting the controls. And it shouldn't be that way, and it didn't have to be that way. Case in point, Ciri. Ciri was an absolute joy to control. She was awesome. Her movement was great. Her fighting was great. Yeah, she carried a little bit of momentum too, just like Geralt did, but it wasn't as bad. She was phenomenal to use. I never had any issues with her, like trying to open anything or pick something up. She was just very, very precise to use. It was awesome. And that brings me to something awesome about the game, which was Ciri. Why? Why couldn't we have more of this? That's what I want. More of this, less of everything else. Her missions were great. Look at her. I mean, yeah, she was basically unbeatable because her health just kept refilling very quickly and she could take a lot of punishment. But that made her segments amazing. I loved playing as Ciri. Anytime it went to a flashback where it told her story, or once we found her and I got to play as her, I was like, yes, I want this to last as long as it possibly can, because she is awesome to use. So she is one of the things that kind of brought me back on the pro Witcher 3 bandwagon, just because she was so good to use and her segments were so fun. And then we got to talk about the enemies with shields. I mean, watch this. Just watch. Here he is. This is the guy. This guy is harder than any boss in the game. Look at him. Look at this guy. Just no matter what I do to him. Like, I'm almost gonna die to this guy. Just, he will not go down. I'm not saying there's imbalance in the game, I'm just saying this guy is harder than any boss fight that there was in the game. You got fire, he does not care. The dude does not give a shit. I'm throwing fire at him, he just shakes it off. I'm giving him everything I have, I'm throwing my sword at him, he does not care. Look at him. Dude deserves a raise. Like, he could have been the final boss. This could have been the final battle. That guy right there. He's awesome. Now, traversing the game at first was fun, but honestly, whether you're riding your horse across the land or you're sailing a boat, it was really just hold X for a while, or A, depending on what system you're playing it on. And that's all it was. You want to get from point A to point B? Just point, hold down a button, and wait. Yep, still holding it down. Still holding that one button down. Game sure is intense. Thumb's actually getting tired at this point. Just holding it down. Riding me a horse. Holding down X. Some good stuff. And I do fully realize I'm taking the piss out of the game a little bit. It really was a good game. And this isn't like a Metal Gear Solid 5 type of game for me where that one character brought it all around for me and made the rest of the game worth playing through. I thought overall the game was good. There was a while where I got kind of lost in it, didn't quite know what to do. A lot of the side quests weren't that entertaining, and hell, a lot of the main quests weren't that entertaining. But then Siri was kind of like the shining light on most of those. And the further I got into the game, and really the further I got into the main story, I really appreciated it and really liked it. There started being a lot more fighting, and which made the game a lot more interesting. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's an action RPG. It's a third-person action RPG. And the fighting is really what brought me into it. The story was great. The story was actually better than most games that have come out recently. It actually had a good, thought-out, cohesive story, not just something to get you moving from point A to point B. You actually wanted to see the story all the way through. And then the fighting, once it ramped up and once the fighting was there, it was absolutely worth all the long, drawn-out conversations, the fetch quests, the side quests that seemed to carry on forever and ever and ever. The game absolutely won me over in the end. I've actually been on record multiple times saying I don't actually like this game, and there was a time where I really did not like this game, but I can't have a game sitting on my shelf that I haven't finished. So I put Witcher 3 back in, kind of forced my way through the story elements that I didn't like until the story picked up. And it wasn't until the beginning of Act 2, really, that the story got good. So the first part of Act 1 was okay, but the second part of Act 1 just killed the game for me. That's where I got bored, that's where I put it down. But once I finished it, and Act 2 started ramping up, and then Act 3, which is actually really short, really ramped up the action, I was just floored with the game. I couldn't put it down. It was awesome. So there was that little lull there in the middle that just about killed it for me. But I'm glad I pressed on. What I got was a great experience, a great game, a great story, and I'm really excited to see where the next game is going to take us, because you know there's going to be another one. And I'm really excited for that. So I wonder what your experiences are. It seems like most people had positive experiences with the game. I don't know. Maybe I was just too picky, too hard on the games because I really, really liked Witcher 2. But like I said, in the end, I really liked the game, and I would recommend it to people because I don't think most people are going to be as hard on this game as I was. So I want to say thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give me a like. If you didn't, give me a dislike. That's cool too. Consider subscribing. Why not? And hope you have a great day. So once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Witcher, so be it. Let us end this.